Welcome to Moments with Marianne. I'm so excited we're spending this time here today. We have an amazing show lined up. Our first guest is Stacey Chillemi. Now, Stacey is a popular and recognized health and lifestyle reporter and expert, and she's the health host and author of The Complete Guide to Natural Healing. Now, Stacey's been featured for her health and wellness tips on national news, local news, and the Dr. Oz Show. So Stacey's here today to talk to us about Journey into Wellness. So let's welcome to the show, Stacey.
Hi, it's nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, what a joy it is to have you here. Now, you're just like the go-to health expert that everyone's reaching out to and wants to have you on their show and have you talk about just not just health and wellness in general, but just how can we live like better lives and integrate, just the health aspect into our lives?
A lot of people don't know where to begin because there's so many different things. It's the question, the question I hear all the time is, how do I begin? Where do I start? And, it's all baby steps. It's about just taking little steps each day, creating goals for yourself, short-term and long-term goals. And, where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to see yourself in 10 years? Every day, I believe, you never know what the next day might bring. So, you want to make the most out of each day. And sometimes, looking at the present and then looking a little bit into the future and creating goals, kind of breaks things down and gives things a better and more easier aspect of things that you really want to accomplish for yourself. And, for me, I believe that, for a better, healthier lifestyle, we need to incorporate, look at how we're eating, look at how we're taking care of our bodies, incorporating not just exercise, but maybe some yoga, some meditation, really taking time for yourself, because in this go-go society, everybody is on the run. Everybody wants to go to and do the next thing and the next thing, and sometimes the main thing that we neglect is ourselves, unfortunately. And we need to take a step back, and unless you're at your 100% potential, how could you help others or be an asset to other people in your life if you're not taking care of your own self? So I say take a step back, look at your lifestyle, and see different little ways on how you can improve your lifestyle. Write it down, make some goals for yourself, and then say, where do I really want to be in the next 10 years or the next 5 years, and make some long-term goals, and then break it down and try to see how you can get there. Am I eating well? Am I taking care of my body well? Am I taking enough of time out for myself? These are the little questions you have to ask yourself. And, this is how it's really a good and productive way to start.
Well, and I know that you've had quite a journey of your own. Why don't you share with our listeners how you got started on this path of wellness?
When I grew up, I had epilepsy. I developed it at the age of 5, and I struggled all my life with my seizures. And when I got to college, things were really difficult. It's like, how am I going to really, finish college and get where I want to go in life if my seizures are in control, if I'm not feeling to my potential? So I had written an article, and I sent it out to the Epilepsy Foundation. They have a magazine, and they published that article. And I asked people, how do they cope with epilepsy? How do they live a positive and productive lifestyle with the disorder? And surprisingly, I received hundreds of letters from all over the United States and Canada, and people were sharing their stories and telling me how they live life. And, it really made me look at life from a whole different perspective. It wasn't so much about feeling sorry for myself anymore. It was looking at, hey, I'm not the only one with a condition or a problem. And, I started taking a lot of these stories, and I actually started, they actually helped me a lot. And I actually started putting these stories together. And eventually down the road, I had written a book called Epilepsy, You're Not Alone. And then I people had written letters to me from all over the world and telling me how this book had helped them. And, one person even said that this book actually, they were on the verge of suicide. They just didn't know how to get on with their lives. They had developed epilepsy later on in their life. They lost their job. Everything in their life had changed. Their license got taken away. They couldn't travel anymore. They said by reading the regiments and the different things that I had suggested in the book, it gave them a whole new perspective of life, and it helped them cope with their own disorder. And
I know back in 1998 when you wrote the book, there wasn't a whole lot out there as far as how to deal and cope with epilepsy. You were kind of on the forefront of discovering some information in regards to that.
Yeah, back then there weren't a lot of information on epilepsy. Epilepsy was a topic that wasn't really talked about very much. And the few doctors that had written books on epilepsy, their books were based on medical terminology that if you weren't in the medical field, it really went over your head. People, couldn't really grasp, or you really couldn't, get a good perspective on what epilepsy was and how to help themselves. It was more for other doctors and people in the medical community to give them an understanding of it, but it wasn't for the basic person. So that was my goal when I wrote that book, was to help the everyday person cope with that disorder. And I started working with a herbalist, and I started doing a lot of research and writing for this herbalist. And I actually learned a lot from all the research that I did, and I actually started applying a lot of the things that I learned to my own life. And my seizures actually went from 9 seizures a month to 6 seizures a month to 2 to none. And I was still taking medication, but I was incorporating a lot of different supplements, vitamins, healthy foods into my life. I wasn't going to bed as late. I was trying to see what my body needed, and I was trying to fulfill that. So I changed a lot of my lifestyle, and based on a lot of the stuff that I learned, and my whole health did a whole turnaround. And I realized, how simple changes in your lifestyle could affect everything, your mental, physical, and spiritual being. And from there, I did a lot of research, years of research, and I wrote my own book later on about different herbals and vitamins and different foods that actually could help and heal the body instead of resorting to over-the-counter drugs.
Well, it's so interesting to hear how you got into herbal medicine based on the research you were doing, and also trying to figure out just some things that would work for you personally that would go ahead and move those the epilepsy seizures that you were having from, like how you were saying, from 9 a month, down to none. I mean, that's a testament that I think a lot of people are going, gosh, how did she do that? So, because typically there's a lot of medication and testing and other things that are involved with epilepsy that most people don't even realize that has to happen on just like a weekly basis to manage it.
Yes, definitely. The medical field actually has done a tremendous amount of work with epilepsy, and they've come out with a lot of great things. But even, I've worked with the best of doctors, and they even say it themselves. You can use medication, and a lot, you might come across medications that actually can help control your seizures, but also you need to take care of your body too. You can't just rely on, popping a pill and thinking, this is going to help me, and, and trying to look for the right medications. You also have to take care of your own body. You have to take care of, what you're putting in your body, and, how you're caring for your body on a daily basis. That plays a big impact too on your conditions. And, 90% of the cases of conditions that are caused a lot by stress on the body. And, and a lot of times people come out with conditions because of their eating habits. You can eat certain foods, for a long period of time, and with certain bad foods, you can come out with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, strokes, heart attacks. So really, you have to really think that food plays a big role in our health, and people need to take a step back, not just for for the conditions they have, but to prevent conditions from occurring in the future.
Yeah, I think I've heard somebody use this before. It's not the exact quote, so I'm going to probably butcher it. It's something along the lines of, you can't expect to throw trash in your temple and expect it to be, still be a temple.
Right.
So you really have to watch what it is that you eat. And what were some of the major changes that you made that you kind of saw just a dramatic improvement, as far as your food and your diet goes?
I started cleansing my body. I started in the beginning. I learned a lot about detoxifying the body on a daily basis. Everyone, from the air we breathe to the food we eat to the water we drink, our body is filled up with lots of toxins. And over time, your body builds those toxins up. And, think about it. If those toxins keep building in your body over time, it has to play a role on your organs, on how your body functions, fatigue, everything, So by cleansing the body and by detoxifying the body, you're kind of renewing your body and giving it a fresh start. So I started doing different things to cleanse the body, to get rid of the toxins. And then I started changing my diet, changing the foods I ate, making sure, that I was eating healthy foods, and not, resorting to processed foods and other foods that kind of harm the body. And, I also was drinking a lot of water, on a daily basis. I started getting more sleep. I purposely changed my regimen, just everything I did, and like I mentioned earlier on, it was baby steps, little by little, but overall over time, by doing all these things, and by exercising and about taking time for myself, I noticed a huge change in the way I felt and the way my body was acting. I was feeling a lot healthier, stronger. I definitely was, on my condition was, my seizures were doing so much better. It takes a toll. So detoxifying the body is a great way to start, and then looking at different little changes in your body, that you can make in your life, is another way to start, working on different ways to, put your body on a go-to start.
I think when most people hear of like detoxing, they think, oh, that's what I do like right when spring's going to hit or something like that. But it's a whole different thing when you think about, no, you do it on a daily basis because, if, not all of us can eat organic 100% of the time. And so when we make those adjustments, we know like, hey, you've got to also do a cleanse that will help relieve some of those toxins from your system.
Yes, definitely. And it, like you mentioned, is a great point. Is that you have to really, you have to really do things on a daily basis. You can't just do it once in the spring and think, oh, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, exactly.
I'm done with detoxing. Now I can go back to whatever.
Exactly.
All the stuff the processed stuff. Which, they're finding out, and this, I'm singing to the choir here, but they know more and more about how it's really impacting the body in such a negative way that, there's so much information out there now, it really helps people to make those healthy choices.
Yeah, society has definitely been educating, people, through articles and through medical journals, and just, information on radio shows like yours and on TV shows. They're really teaching the public about what's really in these foods and products that we use. And even a lot of times, people don't realize it, but even the makeup you wear, and sometimes, just the lotions and the things you put on your skin, it goes through your pores and it goes right into your bloodstream. And it affects your body too. So, anything you put on your body, anything that you eat, anything that you drink, when they have different, chemicals, artificial ingredients, even the vitamins, you have to be careful too. Vitamins, supplements, there's a lot of companies out there too trying to make a fast buck, and you really need to look at the ingredients and start understanding, what's in these things that you're using on a daily basis. And I always say, if there's a big word and it looks really unfamiliar, you don't know what the heck it is, it's probably not good for you. So,
That makes a whole lot of sense. And it's really easy. I mean, not all supplements are the same, and I think a lot of times people think, well, I got it at a health food store and it's a supplement, so it's got to be good. But you really have to look at it and really understand not only what it does and what all the components do, but if it's really right for you, for what you're doing.
And I also tell people too that you have to be careful because supplements are some of them are just as strong as medications. Red yeast rice used to be a prescription drug that companies would use for like high cholesterol and other conditions and stuff like that. Lots of supplements, you have to be careful because sometimes they can interact if you're taking medications like blood thinners, medication for your heart, different antidepressants, or even medication for epilepsy and stuff like that. You have to really make sure that there's no drugs that interact with the supplements that you want to take. You could either ask your doctor or you could do research, but really you need to really know what you're taking too. You have to be careful. You can't just hear about something and just want to try it. You have to make sure that it's okay and that it's good for your body too, because supplements can they're just like medications, a lot of them.
Well, and this kind of leads me to my next discussion. I mean, you kind of touched on it a little bit in our earlier talk here. How important is sleep with all of this? So, I mean, let's say we're taking the right supplements and we're doing cleanses on a daily basis, not just, once a year. So how important is that sleep component to this whole portfolio of our health?
Sleep is very important. People don't realize, but it's really important to get a good night's sleep and to renew your body. Your body, your brain is functioning all the time, and you really need to renew your body. Sleep is very important. There was Marianne Huffington had come out. She had been making a big campaign about sleep because she was never getting enough of sleep, and she was always on the go thinking about her next project. And she had so much lack of sleep that one day she just fell and collapsed. And that's when she realized that she was just doing way too much, and how much she was actually, how she was actually hurting herself and hurting her body. And then she started to promote the importance of sleep, and promoting even machines and companies so people can go in, close their eyes, and relax and get a 20-minute rest to renew their bodies. Because sleep, without an adequate amount of sleep, your body can just shut down on you. Your body, just like a car, you need to fill it up with gas. Well, your body needs to fill up with a little sleep and R&R so it can function properly, so you can focus, so you can have energy to do what you want to do, and for your organs and your whole body to work properly, it needs to be refreshed and renewed.
Now, I know that, you do a lot of writing. You write for the Huffington Post. You've got several different blogs that you write for. What would you say would be like the number one, common, some of the number one common conditions that people reach out to you regarding health? Because I'm sure that you touch on so many different things. Are they reaching out to you in regards to weight loss, or what are some of the common things that you see?
People ask a lot of questions about weight loss. They ask a lot of questions about high cholesterol, high blood pressure, a lot of the conditions that are so prevalent in our society. And then when I ask them, what's your diet like? Just to get an idea of what they're eating, and they tell me, well, I love my soda, and I love this, and I love that. Wait a second, you have diabetes and you drink soda, or you have high cholesterol and you're eating this and that. People don't realize the after effects of some of these foods that they put in their body, how it affects their conditions. Well, you need to make changes, in your diet in order to control these conditions. People, our society, unfortunately, even though they know certain foods are bad for them, they tend to, they love it, so they don't want to give it up. But, if you really want to improve your health, you have to make some sacrifices. And you don't have to cut it out completely. Everyone likes to do their little cheating, but,
for sure, right?
Yeah, but you have to be sensible about it too, and, I always always tell people too, get a good blood workout. Go to your doctor, and when I was going through all this, I went to an herbalist, and I had a full blood workout of everything tested, and they were able to tell me, what vitamins my body was deficient of, what I lacked, what I didn't lack, So then I was able to really not just, listen to people and say, oh, that helps this, that helps that, but I knew exactly what my body needed and what my body didn't need. And then I was able to focus on those things by using foods and vitamins. And, within 3 months, my body did a whole turnaround because I knew exactly what my body was deficient of and exactly what I needed and what direction to go into.
Now, did you find when you started making those changes that they were really hard initially? Yeah, because I know I've heard them, experts say that like giving up sugar is like up there with heroin or something like that.
It is. They said that Oreo cookies is just as addictive as heroin. There was an article. Yeah.
I actually have a friend who really loves Oreos, so I'm going to have to let him know about that.
Yeah, they did an article. It was hysterical, but it was like, because my kids love those things, and I try not to bring them in the house because they're so bad for you. But, when I bring them in the house, they go ballistic on them. It's like, it is. It's, they had an article and they said that it was just as addictive as heroin. And, sugar is really hard to give up. It's a hard substance. It's very addictive to the body. And, and then, your body sometimes craves for it when you have imbalances in your body. Sometimes that can trigger a sugar craving. And, people, sometimes, it's really hard, and I like I said, baby steps, cut out little things little by little. And the less you have it, the less, after a while you're going to crave it. And then when you do have it, it doesn't, it really plays a toll on your body. Like if you cut out salts, for instance, and you don't really eat that much salt in your food, and then all of a sudden you go to a restaurant, you have this dish and it has a lot of salt in it, you're going to notice that salt, and and it's not even going to agree that well with your body. And it's because your body, is getting used to eating healthy. And then when you put things in your body that aren't so healthy, you feel it, because now your body has to do double time and has to work really hard to break down these things that weren't in your body for so long. And, your body wasn't meant to eat a lot of the foods that we eat, so it's like, it plays a toll when your body has to break these foods down. And sometimes your body, when you eat certain things or you have certain foods that aren't natural, your body sometimes doesn't know what to do with them. Sometimes it even stores it in your body, and then you get buildup of certain substances because it has a hard time breaking down certain foods because you're not supposed to be eating it in the first place.
Well, and that kind of circles back around to what we were kind of talking a little bit ago about, like daily detoxes. And I know that you've got a lot of information. You've got your amazing books and all that great stuff, and we don't want to give that away. We really do want people to pick up your books and really be part of your community as well, and learn a little bit more about some options for them. But for our listeners today, do you have like a tip that they can use that they can detox? It's just like something simple that they can use in their daily detox if they're going to start doing a campaign to, like, let's say, get off sugar and sodas and salt or whatever the case may be.
I always tell people to start incorporating more water in their daily diet. A lot of times the people are, they lack water and they don't drink enough of it, and they start feeling fatigue, and they don't realize that a lot of the fatigue could be caused by dehydration. When you're a big coffee drinker and you're not drinking a lot of water, your body's getting dehydrated. Just because water has coffee has water in it, that doesn't mean anything. You're not getting your water, your daily water supply, like coffee. But I say drink more water. I liked, one of the things I did was, increasing your fiber intake, or if you don't, eat enough of fiber to, maybe use a fiber supplement. And also milk thistle is great because milk thistle cleanses the liver, and it cleanses a lot of, puts like a barrier around your liver, and it kind of like shoots out those toxins. And because your liver works really hard to fight those toxins and to cleanse your body. And, milk thistle is a great way. It's good for the digestive system too. It's good to a lot of people suffer from digestive problems, and that goes back to diet, but people don't realize that. Also, by incorporating more greens into your diet. There's a gentleman that he had wrote a book, and he says that you don't need to he was a scientist. You don't need to exercise to lose weight. He said just eat greens and, stay away from the meats, and, I guarantee you'll lose weight just by eating. He said, that one of the things that your body works really great because all those nutrients that are packed in those vegetables and all those good foods that are nice and leafy. The greener they are, the more nutrients it has in it. If you can incorporate vegetables into your daily diet, salads, and make those fun salads, you can incorporate different things to give it a nice little taste. You'll notice that your body will start feeling full. You won't crave as much food or snacks during the day. So incorporating fiber into your diet, taking milk thistle, trying to incorporate more greens, more like blueberries and different healthy fruits. Bananas have potassium and they have magnesium in it, and those are great for your body. And also, people, they did a study, and if you people who ate a lot of bananas actually had a lower percentage of suffered from a lower percentage of depression. And, it was, incorporating these type of things into your diet, can actually help you as well, even in the cleansing and and detoxifying stages.
I'm sure some people are hearing this and going, go to all greens, but I love my meat. I can't see myself chewing on an asparagus all day. But I think it's something because when you look at that, and also from the protein aspect, because they can get their protein from some vegetables and fruits and what have you, or incorporate beans in the diet as well. There are certain things, and I know your website's full of information where people can kind of learn a little bit more also if they're looking to kind of dive into a new regimen for eating.
Chicken and fish is very good for you. But I suggest, like, if people are going to eat chicken, to eat organic chicken. And it's hard in this society. Organic food tends to be very expensive, and if not everybody can afford organic, to eat all organic. But chicken, I highly suggest chicken, milk, eggs. Those are things you want to really eat organic. Eat regular chicken. A lot of it has arsenic in it. They shoot arsenic in it to make it nice, big, plump, keep it fresher longer. And I one time, just for the fun of it, I always used to get bloated when I ate chicken, and I noticed when I ate organic chicken, I never got bloated, and it was because of all those artificial substances in the regular chicken that they put in it to make it fresher and bigger. Those things were causing my body to become more inflamed, and it held more water retention. So things like chicken, you want to you buy organic. Even eggs, with people who eat eggs, there's so many different hormones. They add hormones to the eggs. A lot of the companies that aren't organic, they add different substances, antibiotics to the chickens, because they keep them so compressed. A lot of them that aren't organic, that they actually, when you have all these hormones and all these antibiotics going into your body, your body doesn't know what to do with it. That's why you see a lot of young little girls experience menstruation at age 8, because they have all these hormones that are coming into their body, and the body doesn't know what to do with it, and it's altering the way their body is supposed to develop. And so things like that. Milk also, it's the same thing. They put the antibiotics in the cows. They put all the they have the hormones that they shoot up into the cows. This is not good for anybody. And so small things like that, I would always highly suggest people do organic.
Well, and I used to say growing up, because when I grew up in, in the 70s, and I was in high school in the 80s, people were kind of, it seemed like the height of the boys and the girls were, kind of shorter. And now, like, everyone's a giant.
Yeah. It's true. Uh-huh.
So I was talking with some friends about that the other day. It's like, it's got to be all the hormones that's incorporated in the food that, these young bodies are eating, not really knowing what's going on. So, it's
most definitely. And a lot of the foods too, like when I had traveled to Europe 2 years ago, a lot of the ingredients that they put in the foods in America, they banned in Europe. They can't use it in Europe. And, and a lot of the food companies use a lot of different ingredients that, other countries don't allow, just to make it look better, like even like with cheese, for people who do eat cheese, I say when you buy American cheese, buy white American, because it's the same thing as yellow American cheese. It just has a dye to make it look more prettier. A lot of things are just, artificial dyes can, cause cancer in the long term. So, things like that, it's all about the marketing in the food company. So you have to be really careful, on what you buy and try to, do things as natural as possible, in the best, way. You can't be perfect in this world. It's too, but you can, try to do your best, and that's the key, is just trying to do your best.
Well, and, and I applaud you on that, because there's so much out there, they'll have a test that says, eat, have coffee and it makes you live longer, no heart disease because people have coffee. And then you have another one that says people have coffee end up having, greater amount of strokes. And so you're like, well, what the heck? What's going on here? And so you get these conflicting studies that I think, how we were talking initially, just kind of confuses a lot of people. I'm like, well, what the heck am I supposed to do?
Well, with the coffee beans, when you grind those coffee beans, it changes the components of the coffee beans. And too much coffee, it increases certain hormones, which can actually, cause you to be, hyper, and it could cause like increases and affect the heart in the long term. So, whole coffee beans are healthier. It's when you grind them that they change. And, and so that's been like such a big debate for years. People go back and forth about, is coffee healthy or not healthy,
because I think all the coffee drinkers out there, they want their coffee to be healthy, darn it,
I love my coffee. I'll admit, that's one thing that, I try, I've been turning more to teas. Teas are great. They have caffeine in, also, but if you taste a lot of those teas, a lot of the different organic teas are very tasteful, and they're, you don't even need sugar in a lot of them. You can just the taste of the different supplements and different plants that they use give enough of flavor that you don't even need to put sugar in your tea. And it actually, a lot of those teas do different things. They have cleansing teas too that have different supplements in them that actually cleanse the body. And, you can, use things like that, and, try to, once you start supplementing and doing alternatives, sometimes you get out of that realm of, it changes so hard. So, but if you make baby steps, okay, I'm not going to drink, 2 cups of coffee today. I'm going to drink 1 cup of coffee, and then I'm going to drink a healthy tea that, is supposed to be good for either weight loss or cleansing or energy or whatever the fact.
Well, and I know on your website over at the Complete Herbal Guide, people can learn some more information in regards, because you've done a lot of studying on different, herbal mixtures that help people with just all sorts of things. And they can learn more there and also purchase supplements there as well.
Yes, we have a store there that we have different supplements, and they're actually they were made by scientists and doctors. So they're the quality of the different supplements are really good. They don't contain any fillers or anything bad for the body. And we have a lot of information. We actually have a lot of doctors and a lot of experts that come on and share their knowledge and write articles on the website to inform people. And they're also a lot of the people that contribute to the website are more than happy to answer questions, just like me.
Well, Stacey, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us today. Where can our listeners connect with you and be part of your community?
We're located on our website. It's called thecompleteherbalguide.com. And our website, has a lot of information and a lot of knowledge to help people, but it's just The Complete Herbal Guide. And we have, tons of information about all different types of conditions, exercises, fitness, you name it, even recipes. We put a lot of different recipes on our website to help people, because like we mentioned earlier in our discussion, a lot of people don't have time to, make those meals that take such a long time to make. And we have quick and easy recipes that are healthy for the body and really easy and quick to make too.
Well, that's some good stuff, and what a great resource that is. So thank you so much for developing that. And again, thank you for being on the show with us here today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
We are going to pause here for a quick break, and we will be right back after these messages.
Internationally recognized and award-winning author Judy Goodman works and teaches outside the box of limited thinking. Working with people from every walk of life, her goal is to empower you to be the best you can be, no matter what the challenge is. Born with the gift of seeing beyond our normal vision, she has an extraordinary gift of working with every challenge. Teaching beyond conventional wisdom, her work is described as life-changing. Visit judygoodman.com. That's judygoodman.com.
Have you ever had the sense that your thoughts might actually be doing something? Ancient secrets of manifesting have been masterfully revealed in the award-winning book Manifesting 1-2-3 by Ken Elliott. For the first time, the author's experiences and stories in this book describe exactly how your thoughts can create anything. You've been doing this all your life, but it's never been fully explained for you until now. Visit manifesting123.com for more information today. Manifesting123.com.
Ben Wexler is a gifted leadership development and strategy consultant for professionals who want to transform their organizations and careers. Through a uniquely personalized set of processes, participants discover their unique knowledge, how to leverage that knowledge and experience, and then put it all together with a global strategy. You're more valuable, your organization is more valuable, and the change is viral. Contact Ben at 630-881-1074. 630-881-1074.
This is Jennifer McGill. My highly anticipated new album, Unbreakable, is now available at jennifermcgill.com. Everything from power ballads to high-energy jam-out-in-your-car songs. I used my highest joys and deepest pains to create empowering songs of love, strength, healing, and restoration so that you can be unbreakable too. Get your copy of Unbreakable today from jennifermcgill.com. Because who doesn't want to be unbreakable?
Welcome back to Moments with Marianne. I am so delighted we're spending the next half of the show together. Our next guest, Melanie Young, is here today to talk to us about not one book, but two. Her first book, Fearless, Fabulous You, and Getting Things Off My Chest, a survivor's guide to staying fearless and fabulous in the face of breast cancer. So let's welcome to the show, Melanie.
Well, hello, Marianne. It's so great to be here.
Oh, what a joy it is to have you here. Now, I could see why your book is Fearless, Fabulous You. My goodness, as well as your show. You are just a trailblazer as far as it goes with having to confront and walk through the whole cancer walk.
Yes, it's a path that unfortunately many have tried before me and will continue to follow me until we find ways to reduce the number of diagnoses and hopefully find a cure. In my case, breast cancer.
Well, and I've had family members who have had that, so I don't know personally, but I know of some of the walk that they've gone through, and it's not fun. Why don't you share with us what inspired you to write these books?
Well, great question. I've always been a writer. It's always what has centered me since I was 6 and kept diaries. And when I was diagnosed with stage 2A breast cancer in 2009, one of the first things I did to calm myself and center myself and focus myself, which is hard when your mind is swimming with what do I need to do, what should I do with my life, what's going to happen, is I started writing. And one of the things I did, and you'll appreciate this, is I had at the time owned a special events and public relations agency, and you're always making lists to stay organized, and checklists, a to-do list. And I started just making lists to keep my mind focused and writing down questions, like I was going to interview the doctors. And I just applied what I did in my work life to dealing with my diagnosis as a way to center. So when I finished treatment and I was determined to do something new with my life, I went back to what centered me and really brought me joy, and that was writing. And I decided that with the wealth of information I gleaned, I would write a book to help other women who have been newly, and their loved ones, to help them navigate the uncharted waters of deciding what to do when you've been diagnosed with breast cancer. I could not find this book when I was going through my own experience, which I know sounds strange because there are so many breast cancer books, many by physicians, many by counselors, many by survivors, but none of them gave me the straightforward, almost like the Lonely Planet guide to the trip you never want to take.
Yeah.
And you just want to know the ropes from someone who's been down that path and who's going to do it in a no-nonsense but uplifting voice. And that's what I wanted to provide, because I wanted people to know there's hope, and that even though you did not choose cancer, cancer chooses you. You can choose how you're going to face it. You can choose to make the decisions that are right for you. And that gives you some power over this crazy disease.
And it does really kind of turn your whole world upside down when someone has this diagnosis, because I know just with family members, and I had a cancer scare a while back, it ended up being nothing, but it really kind of does throw you, and you're trying to figure out, like, what's up, what do I do next? And so having a resource like your book, I think, really helps a lot of people, because they're not even sure what questions to even be asking.
Well, that is a really great point, and I learned it this way. I didn't know what to ask either. I was one of those, people just traipsing along in life, even though my best friend, sadly, was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and I was there for her. I didn't go with her at the doctor's appointments. I brought her tea and cake and pink blankets and took her out to lunch and did fun things with her so she would forget she had cancer all the time, that she was dealing with it. But one of my best friends, her name was Melanie. She had been diagnosed a year before me. And she was actually the first person I called, not my husband. I called, when I knew, even before I was diagnosed, when I knew there was a problem, when I was at the OBGYN's office and she felt the lump that I found myself, doing a self-examination, said, this doesn't feel right. I called Melanie. I said, I need your guidance. And she came over when I was diagnosed. And I called her, and she brought me a big scrapbook, like one of those big books. Nobody has those anymore. And in it was a list of questions to ask the doctors that I would be interviewing. And it was so helpful, and it was so organized, and the doctors were so amazed at how organized I was, that was the aha moment, that I would keep lists every step of the way so that I would use that information to help others, because it was so helpful for me.
Well, and I think a lot of times, some of the questions that come up can be like, how can I even resume my life after all of this? Can I, like, when's the right time for me to start my usual daily routine? If it's, taking my dog for a walk or taking the kids to school or whatever the deal is.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the things you do not know, I had a double mastectomy. The things you do not know and you would never expect or anticipate, which I clearly point out in getting things off my chest, is things like you can't drive. You could barely push a shopping cart. I could barely lift my fork. When you have a double mastectomy, you need lots and lots of pillows to prop yourself up. You would not know that unless you've been through it. Mm-hmm. When I was on a drug, one of my drugs caused incredible bone pain. Now, when I asked the doctor or the nurse practitioner, what would the side effects of this drug? And this one was Abraxane, which was a different of the family of Taxol. She rubbed her thighs, and she said, "You'll have discomfort." She didn't explain that it was amazing bone pain that would keep me up at night.
Oh, no.
Rubbing one's thighs. Nutrition. No doctor, unless they're trained in culinary nutrition for cancer patients, can really explain how to eat properly and how food can be your best reinforcement against the onslaught of chemicals. And that, being a food professional by training, was very important to me. And I dedicate a large chunk of the book, which is kind of divided into 5 areas, to diet, nutrition, as your way to fortify yourself, and what to think about and avoid, and what's helpful and what's not, so that you can also keep your weight up or down, because it can fluctuate wildly, and deal with the changes in your palate and your sense of smell and taste.
Yeah, because the body goes through so much during that time. And you're right. Like, the medical community doesn't even prepare people for like 3/4 of what they need to do. They just, they're doing their important job as taking care of the patient to the degree that they are trained. But beyond that, when it comes to the nutrition part, and also when they get into maybe some of the mental health thing, I think what I've heard is a lot of people are just kind of surprised by what will happen.
Oh, you're filled with surprises, and the mental health is a very important one, because nobody will ever be able to explain the waves of emotions, not only when you're diagnosed, which everybody says just they fall apart. And I did for a day. I cried, and then you pick yourself up and realize, okay, I can't live at a pity party. And as you get the incredible mood swings that medication can do to you, the pressure on your spouse or your caregiver, your family, understanding what they're going through as they watch you. And then after treatment, you think, oh, it's done. Yay. Celebrate. Everybody throws a party, but you're not mentally healthy yet. You are emotionally really, I would say weak, not unstable, but you're tender. And that many women report that they did not expect the longer-term impact emotionally that the experience did to them, including myself. I kind of wandered in the mental desert trying to figure out what I want to do with the rest of my life, because suddenly nothing I had done in the past, I associated it with getting sick. Yeah. And I realized that was a serious thing. That's why I wrote my second book, which is called Fearless, Fabulous You, Lessons on Living Life on Your Terms. While it's not directed specifically at just cancer patients, it's really directed for anyone that's gone through what I consider an emotional setback and needs to reframe what happened in a way to move forward.
Well, and sometimes that can be really tough. I know it's really interesting. It's kind of like being in this, this interesting place, because let's say someone goes through a surgery and has depression afterwards, and you go to your doctor and you tell them, of course you want to be able to work through that to some degree, but not everyone wants to take a bunch of pills just for depression, or maybe that's not really where they should be. And then from an insurance standpoint, it affects your insurability later on some things, because now they consider it like to be a mental health, you've you've had mental health issues, which is just crazy.
Well, but you're so right. When I did finally, I cried more after I finished treatment than before when I just, it was like, why am I crying now? I'm finished with the worst of it. But it was just bizarre. I was totally unexpected because I'm a pretty strong person. I don't cry easily. So when I did finally agree at the recommendation of my oncologist to go see somebody, it was really simple. We could do more testing to see if the chemotherapy had affected my cognitive ability. Well, great. I could take medication. No, because I didn't want to. I don't want to become addicted to anything. Or I could just see a counselor and see somebody on a regular basis, which I really didn't want to do. I just didn't want to get into having a routine. I worked on it through my own. I worked through it, but it took time. I don't necessarily recommend my way for everybody. I do value a therapist. If I ever went through this again, I would probably go to a therapist to talk to someone, because your family is not going to be your therapist.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot. It could be a lot for them to take on. What were some of the surprising things that you discovered during this entire journey?
Great question. I discovered the incredible generosity of people that you least expect, who come out and say, what can I do for you, and give. Whether it's your community of girlfriends, people who just hear about you. I was blown away with that, because I actually didn't tell many people. I did not want my work people. I didn't want my clients to know. But the community people who did know, they were very close-knit about it. They honored my request to be quiet, and their support was incredible. On the flip side, and I talk about this and getting things on my chest, my mother was probably the least, she came up for, interview doctors. She flew up kind of as a duty mom to be at the surgery. But during this time, my father passed away from cancer, and she really had to be with him. And when I came down after treatment ended, or close to it, and we did a memorial for my father, her first thing was try to find a way to, get me makeup to look less ill. She was more concerned about my appearance. And to this day, she never wanted to hear about my post-traumatic stress. Now, that may be because she was going through her own. But what I warn people is, family members may not be the best people to lead on. You got to be very careful who you choose to be your circle of friends. Some people cannot deal with disease. My mother. Some people cannot deal with hospitals. Some of my best friends. You find the people who can and hold them close, and don't be angry at the others. It's just some people just can't. It's hard for them. That was a big surprise. The other big surprise was chemo brain.
Oh, what's that? Why don't you explain a little bit about that?
The easiest way to explain it is, imagine your brain on drugs. Imagine your brain one way, and imagine that it just gets disjointed, and you forget things. You will forget words. Mm-hmm. You will look at somebody and not know their name. It's a brain fog, and no one told me about it. No one explained it to me. And I thought I was losing my mind. And many people have said that. In fact, Dr. Susan Love, who wrote one of the defining books, the Dr. Susan Love breast cancer book from a physician standpoint, went through treatment for another cancer, and she had dreadful chemo brain. And studies have shown it can last for a very long time after treatment ends. And for some people who claim it, they still have it.
That's got to be just really, of all the things that you go through cancer and you come out the other end, and then there's so much more that, that is so unexpected that people have to deal with.
Exactly. Now, for those listening, I don't want to make it sound like it's all negative, because it's also very positive. The most important thing is that if you are diagnosed, well, first of all, is to be, very careful and monitor your body even before you're diagnosed, so that you really are giving yourself self-examinations. You're going for your mammograms. You're vigilant about any changes in your body or skin or dimples in your breasts. It's not just about lumps in your breast. It could be a dimple. It could be leaking of your nipple. It shows itself. It manifests in different ways. Mm-hmm. But to be vigilant about your well care, taking better care of yourself. This is not a time to be a hero. This is not a time to be a victim. I hate that word. This is a time to nurture yourself and nourish yourself well. And from that lesson, realize that that is the best gift you can give yourself for the rest of your life. When you get through treatment, you have been given a gift, a new lease on life to choose how you want to live it. And these are your options. You can go back to, you can disregard your body and your health, or you can embrace it and say, this matters more than ever.
Now, I know in your book you talk about there are 10 things that we should have for every doctor's appointment we go to when we're dealing with cancer. What are some of those things?
Well, I think it's 5 things. I think it's called the 5 cancer commandments to follow, right?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I have like 20. But the 5, and nobody thinks about this, one is make a health management plan. This is, imagine yourself, you're CEO of your health. I always hope I was a better CEO of my business than my health. So your board of advisors, if you're CEO of your health, are your physicians. And I say, they're your team of advisors. Mm-hmm. You need to inform all of them about what's happening and ask for their best advice on their area of expertise. I talk to my dentist. I talk to my OBGYN. I talk to my ophthalmologist about my eyes, my pharmacist, a financial advisor, because you're going to need one. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, know how your health insurance coverage works and how you're going to pay for treatment, because cancer is expensive and you will be hit with bills. And if you make the wrong decision about your doctor, or you go to one not in your network, or you don't get authorization, it can get more expensive. In fact, the second phone call I made after the one to my best friend Melanie, who'd been through cancer, was to Howard Goldstein, my health insurance specialist, who brokered my insurance, and he gave me a list of questions. And those list of questions made a big difference, and it saved me some money. The third is organize your records. Boy, you better know what your blood type is, what your allergies are, your previous surgeries, your previous illnesses, where your passwords are. All those things, because you're going to be repeating these things. Oh, not your passwords, but all your health resume, okay? Your health resume is going to be your calling card whenever you visit a doctor. And you're basically a Social Security number. And then get a health care proxy in case you become incapacitated and need someone to have phone calls for you. Phone calls even about your medical records. So that's really important. The fourth is establish a communications plan. Your communication specialist. Who will you tell? Who will you not? What is your message? Who will be your spokesperson when 9,000 people suddenly want to call and give you their best advice because so-and-so went to so-and-so to so-and-so, or just call in and say, how are you? It can get overwhelming. So have a spokesperson who manages, and I call them your communications gatekeeper. It will help you, because you do not need to answer every email, and it will overwhelm you. It really will overwhelm you. So that's number 4. And number 5 is, I'm looking, I've got the book here. 5 is always whatever. Get informed and ask more questions. This is not the time to take the first answer. I saw 3 doctors. I like the rule of 3. Mm-hmm. Ask as many questions as you want, and make sure you have all your pathology, radiology, films, and slides and reports at every appointment. Pay for the duplicates. Don't just leave stuff somewhere where you may never see it again. Keep impeccable records.
Yeah, I would think that having all that with you, because you just never know if you need to be sent to a specialist or something comes up, at least you have all the information. It doesn't take them weeks to locate that.
Exactly. And understand that if you're diagnosed with cancer, the doctors are not going to see you the next day. I was diagnosed in August in New York City. That means nobody's in town.
Yeah, that's for sure. You're like, okay, great.
So I had a vacation planned, and everybody's like, are you canceling? Like, hell no, I'm going on vacation because nobody's around. I called it my farewell tour of my breasts. I went away to France with my husband because everybody else was away. And no ninjas were eating me up. I did it. It kind of got my head ready. I got the doctors I wanted. I didn't settle for doctors because somebody else was on vacation. Don't settle. This is not a time to settle.
No, it really is a time, and I like how you talk about, as someone going through cancer, it's really time to invest in you and really take care of yourself, and it's not being selfish.
No, I believe that you're being, it's self-preservation. I'm very big, and I lecture on your self-worth as your most valuable asset. Self-preservation and self-care is the most important gift you can give yourself, and in that process, give anyone around you who you love and support, because they need you to be healthy. You want to be healthy for them. There's no heroism and sacrificing your health for somebody else.
No. So and this kind of leads to my next question, since we're kind of talking about health a little bit. And I know especially as women, as we go through cancer treatment and we lose our hair, it's really tough for a lot of women during that process. What advice do you have for them?
First of all, not all chemotherapy treatments make you lose your hair. So don't assume you're going to lose your hair, and don't go have a hair shaving party, because you may not lose your hair. Or you may not end up going through chemo. A friend of mine had her head shaved, and then she had a backlash reaction to chemo, never went through chemo, but she had bald head. 2, here's the good news. If you know you're going to lose your hair, and you should ask your ophthalmologist what the side effects of every drug are, down to the umph detail. And they'll tell you, you'll lose your hair after your second or third treatment. Bingo, that's true. You under federal guidelines, the purchase of a wig, but it's called something else. It's a medical head device. You have to get the exact terminology, which I have in Getting Things Off My Chest. You can have the purchase of your wig covered by health insurance. Same with getting forms, for your breasts, if you're not reconstructing and you need, enhancement. Those kinds of things are covered. Prosthetics. It's a head prosthetic. And you just need to get your receipt. You need to have the paperwork. Your doctor needs to make it a recommendation, a referral, before you go to the wig place, and then go. And just get the best wig you can. And get 2 of them. And the reason is, I bought one, I called it the Rolls Royce, because it was so expensive, because it was natural hair. It was the best hair. And then I got a backup one called the Audi. And then I had the SUV. They all served their, because I wore a wig for, when I worked out, I wore wigs just hanging out at home. And then I had my going out wig. And have fun with it, because honestly, I had some of the best hair of my life when I wore a wig. And the good news is it grows back pretty. Your hair will most likely grow back fairly quickly. Give it 8 weeks, 12 weeks. It will grow back differently.
I've heard of it growing back thicker for some people.
It can grow back thinner. It can grow back thicker. It can grow back different colors. I had what they call chemo curl. It's kind of poodly. Interestingly, I thought I kind of had when I grew my hair back, I decided to dye it really bright, light brown. I tried to go I decided to be like hipster, like almost platinum. And for a while, I had the Marilyn Monroe thing going on, because my hair was curlier, and it was kind of cool. I ended up keeping my hair short because everybody said I looked better. I was like, wow, it took losing my hair from cancer to realize that I had a better look with short hair.
Well, it's interesting just how, we really kind of define who we are, really redefine who we are after coming through something like that.
Well, absolutely. And I think for anyone listening, the key is don't let cancer define your life. Let it redefine your life.
No, and so... and it comes to, I think I have time for one more question. So it comes, to my next question, which is attitude. So how important is attitude through all of this?
Attitude is everything. It really is. I mean, you're going to hate the word stay positive, and some people say the most insipid, stupid things to them. But if you are filled with anxiety and you play the blame game and you're depressed and you're angry, that's not healthy. It's not to say anxiety is unnatural. You will feel these anxious moments, and if they get severe, seek help, because it helps to stay, calm and cool and collected as much as you can, versus, wallowing in a pity party of why me? How could this happen? It happened.
Yeah.
So what can you do to make things better?
Yeah, and how to move beyond all of that. Well, do you know, gosh, Melanie, the time has gone by so quickly. We've had such a great time, and you are just a fountain of information when it comes to this. And so I highly suggest that everyone picks up your book, Getting Things Off My Chest, and Fearless, Fabulous You. Where can people connect with you to be part of your community?
You can follow me on Facebook at Fearless Fabulous Melanie, Twitter at Mighty Melanie, and my website and blog is melanieyoung.com. And you can hook up with me there as well. Aww. And the books are on Amazon and all the usual bookstore places.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're fabulous, and everyone should get their own copy. If you know someone that's going through this challenge, pick up these books for them. It'll help them through their journey. You know, Melanie, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us today.
Well, it has been a pleasure. I want to thank you for inviting me. I hope I can leave some gems of wisdom for everybody out there.
It has been such a pleasure to have Melanie on the show. Again, you want to make sure to connect with her on melanieyoung.com. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne. I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to tune in today. And remember, make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Moments with Marianne airs every Thursday, Friday, and Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.